The Little Big History of Caramel, or caramel if you prefer. By definition, caramel is a kind of chewy candy, commonly in small blocks, made from sugar, butter, milk, etc. Such simple ingredients, yet when they are mixed together and heated, something beyond man's previous creations is formed. Caramel is part of cookies, and cakes, and pies, and ice cream, and candy, but best of all is caramel all by itself, a chewy piece of mouth-watering goodness. The real question, though, isn't what is caramel? That description's already been given. What you should be asking is, where did this unique piece of candy come from? Well, that story began long ago, before the time of man. Nope, even further. Keep going. There. The Big Bang is the modern scientific view of the beginning of the universe, but our journey to the history of caramel begins about 100 million years later, when new chemicals began forming from fusion in the center of stars. With the high temperatures of aging stars that were running out of hydrogen fuel and collapsing, the elements within started to fuse and create new elements, all the way through Fe. Continuing on the history of caramel leads us to a time period, billions of years later, to an era when humans first existed in warm climates and dense communities. The escalating population increased the competition for resources, and by using their knowledge of the environment, people began to farm. This is the beginning of agriculture. The much-needed ingredient sugarcane flourished in southern Asia, and began to spread throughout other continents. Also, animals that gave milk and cream were domesticated. Since less time was spent foraging, new professions were made, and creativity grew. Inspiration that started at this time would one day lead to the modern revolution, the third and most important event in the history of caramel. Up until this point, I'm guessing that you're questioning what any of this has to do with a little caramelization, but in truth, it has everything to do with it. Every threshold, every detail that has occurred has led to the creation of caramel, a phenomenon that happened in America in the mid-1800s, when your typical hard candies morphed into caramels with the addition of milk and cream. Milton Hershey himself was a caramel man in the beginning, when he created the Lancaster Caramel Company in 1886. Not good enough? In 1895, the Goetz's Candy Company, among others, was built in caramel. At this point in time, caramels were made using a copper pot over direct flames, and when it had reached the right temperature, the caramel would be poured onto a chilled marble surface and sliced into cubes. Though some still use this technique, a machine with a vacuum system was invented to create large quantities of caramel with little human supervision. Another candy company, called Bratch's Confections, uses machinery to catch its big break. To this day, mass producing of caramel is widely used. The most common company someone may think of when given a reference to caramel is Werther's, a company named after a small town in Germany where the Werther's company originated in 1909, but is now sold in over 100 countries all over the world. Around the period when caramel was first widely known, chocolate ruled the candy industry, but it was expensive and imported, so people tended to opt instead for caramel, a sweet, inexpensive treat that you can make at home. Of course, when you consider the molecular structure and how it changes with heat, caramel seems far more complex. What to achieve when making caramel? 1. The proper aromas. 2. An appealing brown color. 3. An acceptable texture. Since the beginning of time, caramel has been slowly developing in unimaginable ways, but when you look at how far it has come, from fragments to history, you can see we've barely tapped into the possibilities. Caramel has a color, and a flavor, and a texture, all rolled into one neat little package. But now you know its history. The Little Big History of Caramel.